welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Today is all about shelf-stable milk, specifically milk powders, but we will briefly address other forms of shelf-stable milk, what types you might want to store, why you might consider storing it even if you don't drink milk regularly, and how to package it for the longest shelf life possible. Let's get started.
By the way, if you would like help building your food storage, scroll down to the description box of this video and click this link for our free 1-year food storage plan. We calculated a year's supply of food for one person, then broke that data down into a week-by-week list of items to build your pantry on a budget. We'll send it straight to your inbox. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss all of our upcoming food preservation, pantry storage, and gardening tutorials. Now back to the kitchen.
First, let's briefly touch on the three types of shelf-stable milk. I have tried them all, and then I want to tell you about why I have chosen what I've chosen and why I only use this one particular type of milk from this point forward. So there are three main types. Is going to be your cardboard shelf-stable cartons of liquid milk. We don't buy those, so I don't have one here to show you, but you've all seen them in the stores. That's probably the closest you're going to get to milk from the refrigerator because it is already in liquid form and you can already buy whole milk that way, whereas in other options it's 2% or skim. But the problem is it is not going to last very long. It's not in a container where you can, once you open it, you have to use it within like a week or two. But even if you keep it sealed and keep it on your shelf, even then it's only going to last a few months. And there's nothing that we can do, there's nothing we can add to it or change the format of storage to make it last any longer. So it's just not an ideal solution unless you're just going to be using it on a regular basis. In that case, you know, why not just use regular milk? So shelf-stable cartons, it's an option, not an option for my family, and not something that I really recommend for food storage. The option number two is going to be canned evaporated milk, and for about 2 years, this is what we used. The reason why I liked it is because at the time they were only 50 cents a can, and you get double the amount of the size of each can because you add the equivalent amount of water to the can. So I would pour this out into a quart jar, and then I would use this to measure water, pour that in there, shake it up, and it would be good to go. Here's why we changed. Number one, I have 3 children, and they are fantastic eaters, meaning they will eat practically anything I put in front of them. They are not picky whatsoever. But they could taste such a significant difference between this canned evaporated milk and regular traditional milk in the fridge. So much so that they started no longer liking their granola cereal or just like their Cheerio type cereal. But I still used it for a while because I was like, you can deal with it. But then the price just skyrocketed. In my area, these are now over $1.50 a can, which is just outrageous. And so now it's no longer economical. And my children are very happy that I've decided to change as well. But it is an option. They can last for about 2 years on your shelf, and so it's a good option. But the third and final option, and the one that we have stuck with for a couple years now, is powdered milk. Once the price skyrocketed on those about a year ago, or about 2 years ago, I tried powder milk, and I wasn't a fan of the idea of powdered milk because everything I saw on the store was the non-fat instant milk. And because of the way we use milk in our family, non-fat instant milk was not going to cut it. We needed that full-fat whole milk, which I'll discuss in a minute how we use it and why you might want to use it as well, even if you don't drink it, because I don't drink milk and my children don't even drink just glasses of milk. But I thought that was the only option until I started doing some research online and found that yes, they do make whole milk powders. Why they're not stored in the stores is because they don't last as long in the shelf in their original packaging, but there's something we can do once we get it home to extend that shelf life. So powdered milk is reconstituted in a 1-to-4 ratio. That means 1 part powder to 3 parts liquid for a total of 4 parts. And so for a quart jar, I will put in 1 cup of milk powder and then fill it up with 3 cups of water, give it a good shake, and put that in my fridge, and we have milk. One of the things that we absolutely love about it, as long as it's the whole milk powder, is that it tastes just like milk from the fridge. My children cannot tell a difference at all. The other reason we like the whole milk type powders is because we use them as sauces to make like a roux base that we can turn into all sorts of homemade food products such as Alfredo sauce, mac and cheese sauce, cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, cream of celery, beef gravy, sausage gravy. All of that starts with 1 cup of milk. And if it's that non-fat instant milk, it just does not make those gravies taste very good at all. Or all of the sauces that I just mentioned, like the canned soups, cream of chicken soup, it all starts with 1 cup of milk, and they just don't taste the same when it's non-instant or when it's the non-fat milk. So for whole milk powder, my favorite brands online are Judy's and Hoosier Hill Farms. Those are 2 brands that I have tested out and loved in our family, and we also enjoy Azure Standard's brand of powdered milk as well. We just don't get that as much because we only put in an Azure Standard order typically once a year, and I don't typically order enough. I try to, but I don't usually end up ordering enough to last the whole year. Okay, let's briefly talk about why you might want to consider getting powdered milk, even if you don't drink milk regularly, and that's everything I just mentioned with all of those gravies. If I didn't have a way to create 1 cup of milk on hand at all times, I would have to go and buy all of those things that I just mentioned. But by keeping whole powdered milk on hand, I don't have to buy any can of cream soups. I don't have to buy any of the mac and cheese stuff, Alfredo sauce, gravies, any gravy packets. I can throw in a sausage gravy super fast for our breakfast on Friday nights, and all of that I would have to purchase if I wasn't able to make them at home. So if you don't even drink regular milk, you might want to consider going ahead and getting it anyway so that you can make all of those things. Real quick, before we get into how to store the milk, I want to briefly mention one alternative to the whole milk powders that you can buy online. Every now and then, I order through Amazon or Azure. Every now and then, especially on Amazon, I have noticed that the prices fluctuate dramatically. And every now and then, when it's time for me to place an order for milk powder, the price will be a lot higher than it normally is, and I'm just stubborn and don't want to pay that. So one thing that I have done in the past that has worked fantastic is this Nido milk powder. It's in the baby aisle and it's marketed as formula, but if you look at the ingredients, it is just whole milk that has been enriched with vitamins like vitamin C, zinc, vitamin A, vitamin D. Now, I don't like enriched things because those vitamins are not high quality. They are often from synthetic sources, but it's not the end of the world to just have some fortified milk powder just to keep me in a pinch, to hold me over until the prices online come down. So that's an option if you are shopping online and the prices are at the moment too high to make it worth doing. And I think I forgot to mention this, but we shop once a month at the grocery store, and in order to keep our budget intact and stay on budget, whenever we run out of fresh milk from the grocery store, which we do purchase, we don't go to the store and then buy more to get us over to the next month. When we run out of milk, that's it. We're not going to be purchasing milk again until the next month's grocery haul. And sometimes I will run out of milk, and that's when I turn to powdered milk, in addition to all the gravies and canned soups and everything that we just discussed. Okay, let's talk about storage. So one note, if you are someone whose primary focus in food storage is to store food for 3, 5, 10 years, then whole milk powder is not going to be for you. You will want to do that non-fat instant milk from the store because of the fat content in whole milk. Now, our purpose in food storage is to save as much money as we can on our groceries from month to month by growing and preserving and sourcing at the cheapest prices possible, and then buying in a quantity that will last us all year so that we never have to pay full price. So we are constantly rotating through our food storage. It's really just a 1-year pantry is what it is. And so for us, the whole milk powder can absolutely last a year, even more, as long as it's packaged correctly. So as soon as I get my whole milk powder home, because of the fat content, our number one concern is oxygen. Oxygen will cause fat to go rancid. The other consideration is moisture, but we can't put an oxygen absorber and a silica gel like desiccant pack together in the same container because the silica gel pack will negate the oxygen absorbing properties of the oxygen absorber. So we have to kind of make a decision which one is more important. And when it comes to whole milk powder, oxygen is far more important than moisture, because the way that it's been processed, it has had practically all of the moisture taken out already. So the only moisture we're concerned about is in the surrounding atmosphere getting into the product. And as long as we package it properly, that's not going to be an issue. So by packaging properly, what I mean is glass mason jars. This is something that I have used for years, and I've never had a problem with it not lasting a year. And since we're cycling through our foods, I just haven't stored it longer than a year, but I'm pretty confident that I could get 18 months to 2 years out of properly stored milk powder. So there are multiple ways to remove oxygen. Well, by putting it in a glass jar, we're already taking care of the moisture issue. So next we need to address the oxygen issue. There are multiple ways to take oxygen out of a jar. Number one is an oxygen absorber. You can simply drop a packet in there, screw your lid on, and you're good to go. The other options is to use some sort of vacuum sealer. You can use a mason jar attachment lid that will sit on your lid. And if you have a Food Saver vacuum sealer machine, you can hook that up, push the button, and it's going to suck all the air out. The other alternative is a manual way to suck out the oxygen, and that's what I use because it's light, it's easy. I don't have to, take out my huge vacuum sealer machine. And you're just putting this on. Y'all probably, if y'all are new to the channel, you may not have seen this, so I'm just going to demonstrate it real quick, but y'all know, those of you who have been around for a while, y'all know how much I love this thing and how to use it. But it's just a brake bleeder pump, and you just pump until the needle stops, and it creates a vacuum type seal. Test high pitch, the button's down. So that creates a vacuum type seal, and it is good to go on the shelf for at least a year. I can prove that in my own house, but I'm pretty sure you can get closer to 2 years out of it if you had to. So one last tip about storing milk powder is, because of the fat content, because we want to keep it in a vacuum sealed environment, I do recommend storing them in smaller quantity jars, either pint jars or quart jars. That way you can keep most of them sealed and only have one open that you're working through. And I even, since having this brake bleeder pump is so easy, I will even vacuum seal it after every time I use it, so that even the jar I'm working through still stays vacuum sealed. Now that's probably not necessary, because once I break open a quart jar, I'm probably using it within 30 days. But it's just so easy, and I'm like, why not? Why not preserve the best quality possible? Just give it a few pumps, it's vacuum sealed, and back into the cabinet it goes. Okay, y'all, I hope that was helpful to y'all. Storing milk long term and why I recommend whole milk instead of non-fat milk. Hope that was helpful to y'all. For more tips on all things food storage and food preservation, check out our book, Food Prep Guide, Your Plan for Money-Saving, Self-Sustaining Abundance. I will drop the link to that in the description box below and pop it up on the screen in case you're interested. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.